everybody. Thank you for joining me here today. I have two lovely guests with us that we're going to be talking to in just a bit. I want to tell you a little bit more about our topic today. So let's think about it. The afterlife, heaven. What is this place? Does it really exist? So is it possible for us to reach into it and communicate with those that are there? Do you even believe in a place called heaven or the afterworld? These are some questions we're going to explore today as we talk to our two guests. And what's really interesting about these two guests, one is more of a researcher and one is more of a practitioner of this realm. We're going to be talking about the afterlife, heaven. So, welcome to Creative Visions TV. I'm your host, Karen Dahlman, and I really welcome you to this episode today about the afterlife. So let me tell you about the two guests we have. Typically, I don't say their name in the beginning so you can kind of think about it and guess. But today I'm going to say their names because I need you to understand who is who. Since we have two people, not just one, two. Two's better than one, right? And you get three with me. So anyway, the first guest I'm going to talk to you about is Theresa. Her first name's Theresa. And she was born into a family of spiritualists. Her grandmother, her mother, her aunt, they all practiced this ability to give psychic readings and really help people. But that was not Theresa's path. Instead, she attended the King's College at Cambridge University and studied theology and also English. She became a writer, an educator, and boy, is she a prolific writer. She's written, you guys, at least 100 plus books. Amazing. When you see her, you're going to go, what's she doing? Writing 10 books a year? Because she's very young, but she writes prolifically. And she also is the Sunday Times best-selling author. And also, you guys, she has written some encyclopedias that are around the world. Actually, all of her writing can be found around the world in 25 different languages. So I'm really excited to welcome her to the show. Also, the other guest is Claire. Now, Claire is what you would call a medium. And she's a very diverse medium. But let me tell you about Claire, what's interesting. As a child, she was used to being around and being aware of beings, spirit beings, you guys. Now, those of you who listen to the show know that I'm into this, so I'm definitely loving who I'm going to be talking to today for these reasons, because I love spirit communication. But at the age of 4, you guys, the young age of 4, she gave her first psychic reading to one of her relatives. But it wasn't until the age of 21 when she really dove into it and decided to fine-tune and hone these abilities. See, there's always a time to do this, you guys. It's never too late. So here we are 20 years later, and she's really well known as a platform medium, as a medium who does private practice, as a medium that teaches classes. She really wants people to wake up and understand that they can reach into the spirit realm themselves. So another reason why I'm having these two wonderful ladies on my show today is because they teamed up together. So here you've got the researcher with the science behind it. We're going to get into the science of this as well, you guys. Teaming up with somebody who's been a professional medium for quite some long time now. And together they wrote a book. And I had the privilege of reading this book. It's not even released yet, you guys. It'll be released here in about a week or two. I think it's November 2nd. We'll ask them about the release date. And I'm going to tell you, I read the book and I have read many, did I say many books on the subject of the afterlife, spirit communication. And I have to say, this is one of the most practical, applicable, down-to-earth written books on this subject that you will walk away going, wow, this can happen to ordinary people like myself. So the name of the book is Answers from Heaven, Incredible True Stories of Heavenly Encounters and the Afterlife. Okay, we got to bring these ladies on. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Theresa Cheung and Claire Broad. Welcome to the show, ladies. Thank you for joining me.
Welcome. Thank you for that fantastic
Oh my
introduction.
gosh, I'm going to live up to that now. Claire, raise your game.
Well, listen, it's the truth. It's after I read your book, I just fell in love with both of y'all's writing style. And what's cool about this book, too, that I like about it, you have 2 sections where you really get into Theresa's research for all these years, 25 plus years of doing this work. Then you get Claire's, all of her information from her sessions and her clients and her experiences doing this work. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about what brought you two together and why did you guys, what's your fascination with this afterlife and heaven? Do you want to start, Theresa?
I'll start. It's just been my life. I mean, I grew up in a family of psychics and spiritualists, as you said, so I've always been drawn to it. But my path was to study academically because I I can't speak to dead people. I haven't got that gift. Or I don't know. I never developed it. If I have, I have my moments of intuition, and I've just written about it all my life. But I kind of got to a stage in my career where I felt I wanted to give my readers something more, because a lot of people write to me thinking I'm a psychic or a medium, and it's almost I feel like I'm disappointing them. So I went on a search. I literally did. I went on a search to find someone I could believe in, because up until now, I met Claire, I was quite cynical about mediums. I had ghostwritten for a few of them in my early days. I was a ghostwriter as well, and I couldn't. Something about them I didn't resonate with me. Not saying they're frauds, but it just didn't feel real. And I kind of dismissed it when people asked me about mediums. I said, direct contact with heaven. You don't need an intermediary. But then I went to Claire's demonstration, and I could not believe it. Her honesty, her integrity, and the comfort she was giving the room of people. And then I just knew this is my next step as a writer, to collaborate and take this further. And I'll hand it over to Claire now and say how she found out about me as well.
Well, because this is the spirit world and nothing is normal or what you would expect. When I was 20, I walked into a spiritualist church for the first time. I don't know why. I was just drawn to it. At that particular time, I had met a medium a couple of years before who turned out to be my teacher and who was inviting me to come along. But around that age of 21, I decided on this day, right, I'm going in. And my first experience in a spiritualist church was a medium coming to me and saying to me that the spirit world want you to write for them and that you're going to write for them one day. And I thought at the time that she meant automatic writing, which I didn't know anything about. But for the next 20 years, as I learned more and more about mediumship, the messages from different mediums, independent of each other, was always the same. You are to write for spirit. They want you to write for them, and that you've got to basically learn how to do that, because that's what they want from you. And to the point where I got quite frustrated in the end, because I had a family, I've got young children, thinking, yeah, whatever, I've read this message millions. I got very dismissive of it and just thought, well, that's never going to come true. And then right up until 2 years ago, an excellent medium said to me, the spirit world have told you they want you to write for them. It's going to be now. You have hidden in the shadows too long, and that it is time to stick your head above the parapet with all the knowledge that you have gained. You are going to go online. First of all, you need to learn the science. And basically, she ended the message with, they always get what they want, love. And she cracked up laughing, which really sticks with me to this day.
She has this on tape.
Did you get this message before Theresa came into your life?
Absolutely. And then 2 weeks later, I moved home. I got a room where I could work from, because up until then I was in with all my, we had a room where everyone, the family were all in together. But in my new home, I had a room where I could be on my own, where you can see us now. And then from out of the blue, Theresa emailed me saying I'm a Sunday Times best-selling Afterlife author, and I just knew,
here it goes.
Serious. And so, amazing. I mean, I have a lifetime of proof, but if that isn't proof to me, then,
And also, at that time, on my page, I was making it my mission, because I wanted to give my readers something more. And one of the things people would say to me, where's the proof? So I'm going to bring in scientists studying the afterlife. And at the time, wasn't it, my page was so busy, because I was having neuroscientists, doctors. I invited them on to do a video to talk about their research. They're really people like Dr. Julie Beischel, who's written the foreword to our book, who research into medium. And at that time, my page was buzzing, because I had so much. I was saying to people, do you want to know the truth? Because most people don't know about the science of consciousness research.
You're right.
It's in the shadows. And I was doing this, and really, there was 1 week where 500,000 views. It was incredible.
Wow.
But an afterlife author is niche. And
That's
I was
amazing.
bringing it mainstream. And then I thought, well, my next step, I don't want to have big personalities that have been around a long time and been on the media. I want people who actually do this from the heart and have quietly, behind the scenes, done week in, week out demonstrations, not for financial reward or ego, but because it's their vocation. And that's what I wanted to find. And Claire just ticked all those boxes, because I could not believe her demonstrations. What was coming through in what she was giving through readings was beyond the realms of chance. And then I met her, and anyone who meets Claire will know this is the most honest, normal, grounded lady. And I love the fact that she had a career in advertising. She's a married mum of 2. She has no reason to, for the last 20 years, do demonstrations of mediumship. Absolutely no reason. And she often says to me, it would be much easier in my life if I didn't hear this.
Well, you know, that brings up a good point. There was a calling, and Claire, you were very clear on it when she tapped into that at 21, and then the messages kept getting stronger and stronger for you all along. Yeah, Claire, I forgot to mention, you guys, you're also registered. What's it called? A registered and approved medium from the Institute of Spiritualist Mediums. You guys, that's high level. That's hard to do. I researched that. And you guys, I forgot to tell you they're from the UK. We're doing this. We're doing this interview across the pond, and and you're the first people from the UK I'm doing live like this. Yeah, I've been on a lot of UK shows myself.
We are honored.
But you're my first. So you guys, that's really cool. Notice her accents. I just love it. So you know what?
She trained in it. She trained in it, and that's what those people say. They think it just happened. She had this skill, but she went to develop and she trained. I mean, training to be a medium, it's not easy.
No, it's not. I looked into it. That's not easy at all. What she received, and you have to show that quality, that caliber, that level of what you're doing. You know, I would really like to get into some of the science part of it, because this is what people don't ever hear about. You mentioned in your book, and by the way, this book is wonderfully written. You talked about the Windbridge Institute. I believe it's in Arizona, United States. I didn't even know about this. So let's get into some of that research, because it talks about the continuity of consciousness into the other realms.
Yeah, Dr. Julie Beishaw and her husband Mark Beishaw, they run the Windbridge Institute with a team of people scientifically testing mediums. Now, Dr. Julie Beishaw, she's a book in herself. She was working in the pharmaceutical industry testing drugs. And she had this idea, why not test mediums in exactly the same way? But I'm not going to test celebrity mediums, whatever. I'm going to test mediums like Claire, who just work quietly, who volunteer to be tested for the sake of science. And her research, I mean, it recently is featured in the New York Times, in magazines. She was recently on Goop, wasn't she?
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. I gave a big interview with her. And her research is making the scientific world scratch its head, because I asked her, I said, aren't you biased, Julie? You know, you're doing this research, surely it must be because you believe. And she said, it doesn't matter what I believe. I'm first and foremost a scientist. And all I'm doing is collecting anecdotal evidence as proof, and it's data. And the data overwhelmingly shows this is beyond the realm of chance, what these people are bringing through, because they are tested just the conditions they create there. It's impossible for the mediums to have any prior knowledge of who they're reading for. It's done on the phone under really...
There is a triple blind test.
Triple blind. Explain what that means a little bit more, Claire, because I don't know if I know double blind from psychology. Explain the triple blind. This is really good.
Over to you.
Yes, thank you. I'm not a scientist, everyone, but I am fascinated with all this research, obviously, because I'm trying to understand what is going on with me. And
I mean, she wants to know if she's bonkers or not. I mean, she funny thing about her, she says, I would like to know.
I would like to know. The last thing we want to be doing, because I feel the responsibility with what I'm saying, the last thing I want to be doing is giving the wrong information out. This is what I believe based on my experiences. But if new information comes to light, I want to be the first to know about that. I don't want to be leading people up the garden path. And Dr. Julie Beishaw did something. She's a bit of a hero of mine, because she did something that went beyond the call of duty. The gold standard in science is the double blind test.
Right.
That means that it gets people's biases out the way. Dr. Julie Beishaw's research is very hard to dispute, because she has a triple blind element in there. So basically what she does is there is the medium who is on a phone. So there's no body language involved here that the medium can read from. The medium speaks to Dr. Julie Beishaw and is just told, okay, it's your turn to do a reading. What can you get? she gives the medium, gives the information to Dr. Julie Beischel. So that's the first thing, completely blind. Dr. Julie Beischel doesn't know the client that the medium has to read for. All she knows is the medium. Dr. Julie Beischel then speaks to her assistant, that is the next blind port of call, the assistant doesn't know the medium. So the assistant knows the client, speaks to the client. So then the client, so there is no way of this all becoming kind of biased in any way. The client eventually receives 2 copies of a reading, the medium's one and a fake or false. I think Dr. Julie Beischel calls it a decoy reading, something along those lines. And the client then has to be able to say which reading is theirs based on the information given and the hits. The hits are then scored, and Dr. Julie Beischel works out statistically the chances. Now, sometimes information may come forward that the client just doesn't know. The best evidence from spirit is the stuff we have to work out or find out, because it means that the medium isn't mind reading the client. So she couldn't even include the hits that the client at the time didn't know. So that has to go as a not a hit, as a fail, if you like, even though they don't know. And even with that, statistically, these mediums who must have been so brave and sure of their abilities in America, my hat goes off to them.
Absolutely.
Statistically outstripping chance. It's just amazing that she managed to work in that way to come up with a process that is that strict. And I've got to say that I don't think I'd want to work under those conditions normally.
It's a lot of pressure, isn't it?
Pressure. And also the thing is about a reading, for me anyway, is that you are connecting with a client's heart. You are coming together on an emotional front, which in that kind of thing can't happen, can it? So I think a lot of the reading, or the power of the reading, even in that way, is lost. To still have success, that's impressive. So that's why Dr. Julie Beischel, to me, is a bit of a...
We were so happy when she agreed to write an essay for the book in the appendix.
I read that.
And a forward, and we really are indebted to her to do that, because she didn't have to, but she's really supporting us. So,
she is.
Well, she's done some incredible. She's done some incredible work, and it's great that she's involved with you ladies too, with your book, because I think it really helps support what you're doing. You're trying to do. So let's talk about there. You have so many beautiful accounts, true stories of people having this communication. I want to get into some of those stories, but also how you're being communicated to. People write me all the time and say, "I had this dream. I had this smell. I sensed this. I heard this sound." And they go, well, "Who is that making this up? Is it really my dad or my pet dog that died, or my mother?" There's a lot of questions out there. So talk about the stories and how people come to understand when it really is their connection from a loved one from the other side.
I mean, for me, I get stories of direct communication. I mean, Claire's different. Stories rather probably like you get, like dreams or intuition or premonitions, and they just seem to know, because it gives them that feeling of comfort, and like almost like drinking hot chocolate on a cold day. That's how it feels like. It's just knowing. It's very hard to say, but they just know that what they received was a message from a loved one.
But if somebody questions it, how would you help them work through it to understand their message?
I say there's a difference between fear talking and heaven talking, and there's some very clear ways of knowing how, because fear tends to minimize you, diminish you. If you are having these conflicted questions and you're second guessing it, it tends to be fear. Typically, I found in most cases there is this just quiet certainty. Sometimes a few days later, questions arise, but underneath it all, they just know. And I know when I've had dreams of my departed mother that have felt so realistic, so vivid, that I've woken up and I've said, that is more than a dream. That is an afterlife communication. You just have this, and you just feel better. It makes you just feel more empowered and stronger. And that's my hallmark for it, how it makes you feel. Okay. Anything that makes you feel more connected to heaven, that this life doesn't end in death, that is a heaven calling card, as I call them.
Like they experience something and it reminds them of their father, or there was a smell of tobacco, maybe it
That's
reminds them
when
of
they
their
talk.
grandfather or something.
There's no other way to talk, you know.
Yeah.
That's how they communicate. Anything that reminds you, you keep them alive every time you have a memory. You are bringing them alive again and continuing that relationship. I do think it's possible to continue a relationship with a departed loved one, and it's some of the most important relationships I have with people who are past. You can talk to them every day, and I'm not mad. You can.
Now I don't think you're mad either. And by the way, people that are watching this show, people that watch this show will totally get this. But still, I think sometimes people have questions like, so I heard this message. Did I make that up? Is that my imagination? Or is this really, or is it what I want? Do I just want to see my mother one more time? You know what I mean?
Again, I think when you have these questions, if it makes you feel insecure or diminishes you, it's not heaven talking. It's heaven. The whole mark of heaven is it builds you up. It doesn't pull you down. And it's not critical. It's not critical. It's not harsh. It's not critical. It's not saying, oh, that's a load. When you get those things, then it is probably your imagination or whatever. But when you get that quiet certainty, it's very hard to describe.
I think that you're explaining it very well. When you say that, I love when you said the hot chocolate and a cold day. It's that warmth within that everybody loves that. Who doesn't like cocoa? And you feel it here in your heart. It's like a warming. I get that. So that really helps. I think it really helps people to, when they get these messages, to think about, to feel, go back to feeling first, and then think, where does that leave you? Where does that leave you with that dream you had? I've had some experiences like this myself, and it is a knowing. So it's a matter of listening to that. And what I tell people is to write down what you're experiencing. Right? I know you guys talk about some of those techniques and stuff. Maybe we can talk about some of those ways that you can deepen this communication with the deceased, how you can allow it to happen for you.
That's right, because I was going to lead on actually from what Theresa was just saying. And just to add, the book is written in a way where Theresa obviously takes that experience she has with direct communication, and then we explain naturally the second half of the book is where I come in and explain the only difference between a medium and everybody out there who's had those contacts through dreams or hearing, a sign, hearing something in their mind. The only difference is the medium has learned to pay attention. The medium has acted on that communication and has realised there's some truth in this and has wanted to know more. And we can all do it. I do not think I'm special, and I know that my mediumship is not always, it never is actually 100%, even though people are often very kind, because we are all subjectively trying to understand something that goes beyond, at the moment, logic, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so some of the things that we write about in the book is how to turn the mind off, the logical mind, the thinking mind that is the thing that jumps in all the time and negates everything you're experiencing and feeling and knowing, and to write those things down, like you're saying, Karen, absolutely. Write down your dreams. Write down if you sit in meditation and you see a spirit guide come in. Write it down. Write those experiences down. Diarise them, because over time, evidence starts to show. That's what a medium does. As a medium learns as a student, they're gradually learning to get a little bit more and a little bit more, turn the mind off, pay attention to feelings, knowings. We communicate in a whole holistic way, not just with language. And the spirit world communicate in concepts through their entire beings to our entire spirit being. And we just don't know how to listen. And a medium is learning how to do that. So this is why the book naturally goes from, okay, you've had that direct communication. This is how you can develop that and get your own answers from heaven.
Yeah, it's very, I love that you do it that way, because it takes a person on a journey. You get to hear all the stories and you get into the facts of how you work, what you were saying, Clara, and then how to do this yourself. So share some stories. Can you share a couple from the book that about people who have had these contacts? Because there's some really good stories in there. I was just loving every minute of it.
I love the simplest stories for me. Someone who's at a funeral and just feeling absolutely, lost because they've lost the love of their life or a family member, and then they feel a kiss on their cheek that they know is something. Simple stories like that, and I get so many letters about that.
There's a beautiful one in the book about a gentleman who has lost his daughter, who you write about, and he feels her hold his hand in the night. Oh.
I remember that story. Oh my gosh, I just felt chills when you said that. Totally.
And these are all 100% real stories of people who write to me. For many reasons, we had to change names to protect identity because it's very sensitive. But I had, because I've been writing so long, I have stacks of letters, and all these people can't be imagining it. All these people having these experiences, and they often write to me and say, Theresa, I've never told anyone this, or am I going nuts? But this happened to me, and it just made me feel I could move on with my life. I love those stories, the simplest ones. Yes, there's some dramatic heaven save me moments, of stunning coincidences and stunning dreams that have actually turned out to be true. Those do happen, but they are rare. More common, but for me they're uncommonly common, are the simple stories of how seeing a robin or a feather or a gentle kiss on the cheek has changed and turned a life around. And then, of course, there are the near-death experience stories, which are just a book in themselves. I've had the privilege of talking to the likes of Anita Morjani and Eben Alexander. We both met him.
Amazing.
Of people who have literally died and gone to heaven, and what they come back with. And what they come back with is vibrancy. Heaven is more alive than right here, right now. And we love that. I mean, Claire,
and that's what I experience as well. I'm sure you do too, Karen, that when the spirit world come around us, loved ones and guides, it's the energy, the power, the love. It is uplifting, motivating, inspiring. It sounds really trite, but really try and get across. And I'm so in line with you, Karen, that there really is no need to be frightened of this, because there may be, as in all life, as in this world, people in the spirit world who you may not choose to have tea with,
right?
But there are other beings that you would give your right arm to spend 5 minutes with because of the knowledge and the comfort and the growth that comes, and you're missing out on that opportunity by feeling that I don't want to go here at all. I don't want to open a door. I don't want to know.
Yeah, some people, you bring up a great point. Some people are afraid of that because then it means that maybe what they were taught, that maybe life ends or something, or you end up in a grave and you just, nothing happens next. I mean, that scared them to think there's more, or people that may think there's more maybe have a hard time believing it. So you bring up some good points. Again, back to the feeling. How's it feel? I'm totally in tune with you guys when you talk about the feeling part. When I do my spirit communication, I always, during the time I'm working it, bringing the messages in, I feel so in love. I feel unconditionally loved. And it gives me a high, you guys, like a high like no other. I've talked about this on my show before. So I know what you're talking about. That's the experience of getting these messages. So what do you two think of this? When somebody, you lose a loved one, and I just had a friend that just died, and I was telling Claire about it. And I was reading their book at the same time. It gave me such solace reading it. Do you think everybody has somebody that comes back and sees them, whether or not they're open or closed? Do you think the people that die, their spirits come back always to make contact? What do you think of that?
I believe that love is the bridge between the two worlds, and that anywhere where there is love between people, that love does not die. That energy, that bond goes in this world beyond all description, and it's that continues on. So those of us who lose a loved one, when we send out our love and our thoughts to them, that is received by those in spirit, because our communication, our thoughts are energy that engulfs around them, and then they are drawn to us. They don't even have to visit us physically. They can be with us in mind, which I think is what happens to me a lot of the time during readings. But I do think if they chose to be close to us, they can do that too. Nobody dies alone. In the spirit world, people are met by their loved ones because that love continues on, and we don't have to feel that void, that awful void that comes with losing a loved one. We've all been there. Even mediums aren't immune from missing the people they care about. It's not the same. But Theresa and I are always saying that death ends a life, not a relationship, because we really believe that you can continue that communion and that love forever.
That's beautiful. My guides always tell me, they say, we don't have a word for what you call death, because they said, truly, life continues into the next life, into the next realm. And this is why I believe in the continuity of consciousness. We might just change forms, as science tells us. Matter's neither created nor destroyed, it just changes forms. And that's what I believe that's what I believe is happening. And so when I speak to the deceased, which includes the animals, the people, and other kinds of beings, spirit guides, but when I talk to the other side, they're always saying it's so joyful. And you're right, they tell me I'm greeted by a loved one. I'm greeted by loved ones I didn't even know I had. They were my ancestors and my pets from childhood, etc. So what do you guys think about the pet thing? Have you gotten a lot of stories written to you about animals?
We have a lady in the book actually who talks a lot about, she works with animals. That's Tina, isn't it?
Yes, Tina Reid.
Yes. Oh, I completely believe that animals have souls, because a lot of people say, well, animals don't have souls.
Right.
Absolutely. Anyone who's loved a pet will know that is not. And sometimes that love is more powerful than any other love. And that continues on. So many stories of afterlife encounters with pets. Pets for me are almost like angels. They give us unconditional love.
And I also write in my section of the book about the fact that our loved ones, our animals in the animal kingdom, return to us, and they act as guides and helpers too. That relationship continues on. So we've got stories in the book in that way, haven't we, of some actual animal spirit guides, teachers. We can learn a lot from the animal kingdom.
They say your soul's incomplete until you've loved an animal.
I so agree. I was doing a session the other day, and somebody had asked the question, was asking about their dog and how their dog was sick, and should we take it to the vet? And the spirit guide's response to this was, if your pet, when alive, comes to you and is in any kind of need, and it shows it doesn't want to show weakness to you, but that definitely that's the animal reaching out to you, help me, it's time, and you can read that. But they also were saying the animals are here as our saviors, as our healers, as our teachers. And so when we pick an animal and choose them, they're really choosing us. They come to us because they're helping us in our lives. And to remember that's unconditional love that these animals do for us. And not only do it when we're alive, they're going to do it in the afterlife. That's been my experience.
Absolutely.
And so the book does have those stories,
yeah.
doesn't it? I just realised that I didn't. One of the stories I was going to share, because you touched on it about me being 4 years old, and communicating from my own granddad. Because up until now in the interview, I've obviously spoken about the fact that I was given messages through mediums and the direct spirit communication that Theresa's talked about. But where the actual stories where I can talk about the mediumship aspect of things are in where the spirit world have come around me and impressed upon me to give a message to someone else, which I share in the book, many accounts of readings that I've done in the past. But also, and that all started with, as you were saying in the introduction, it was my granddad who came close to me. I was in a cemetery while my nan and my mum were cleaning up my granddad's plot, and I was playing with some vase, some stones and some water, and I felt my granddad, the essence, this is what we're talking about, the communication comes in feeling and knowing, and he was so close and was insistent, asking me to tell my nan to say, Claire, please tell Nanny, Granddad says I love you, Ive. And I share in the book the importance of that story because my nan's name was Connie. I only ever heard her being called Mum by my mum, and I only ever called her Nanny. And she went by the name of Connie because she didn't like her first name, which was Ivy. And it's stories like that we share, just everyday stories. This isn't a medium trying to be something greater than they are. It's just saying I've paid attention. And these, sometimes the smallest message is the most pertinent and emotional and meaningful. It doesn't have to be about somebody reeling off names, reeling off addresses, reeling off facts. I don't think that's the best mediumship. I mean, it's wonderful to have all that information.
The theatre.
Yeah, I think it's bringing the essence of a person through. You know, we could all, I suppose it could be argued, that we could research a name. I also think the thing is, at the end of the day, we all share names. But what we don't share is the essence. We are unique imprints in this universe. And when a medium can bring through the essence of a person, and you sit there and feel that for yourself and recognise it, to me, that's mediumship at its best. And I try and give some accounts
I've
of that.
seen her on platforms where she kind of transforms it. She doesn't remember what she does either.
I get embarrassed hearing
and she
about
kind
it.
of is able to bring through their mannerisms, and I have no idea. It's the first time, because I said I've been writing about the paranormal for years, and I'm quite skeptical. Actually, I'm an academic first and foremost, and that's why I've been privileged to have so many books published because of my academic background. So I approach it academic, and I have yet to speak, but with her, she's yet to. I just don't understand how she does it.
And neither do
Or
I.
why she does it.
I think the thing is,
And the whole audience goes away feeling better. And it's just seeing them transform from a bit of a dishevelled group in the beginning. Because everybody, let's face it, you go to a demonstration mediumship, you're hoping for something, but she can only pick on 2 or 3. Because when she goes into a reading, she goes deep. But the rest of them, they go away, shoulders back. I just see the effect that she has on from what she's saying, and how the person that she has given the reading to, and the fact that they're getting such validation. They go, once I went, she even got the name right, and the fact that somebody was adopted. I don't know how old, that they had 3 sons, and I don't know how she does it.
Well, how do you do it, Claire? What do you think's happening
You try to
here?
explain that in the book, don't you?
I do try and explain something that's inexplicable.
Yeah, in a way, it
remember
is.
Demonstrations, because I said that was amazing, Claire. How did you know that? She said, did I say that? She doesn't know.
Well, aren't you letting go and trusting? We talk about that a lot on the show. Whenever you're working to navigate in the unseen dimensions, whether it's spirit communication, speak with your guides and angels, work with the animals, or even ETs, I talk about on the show. It's really allowing and letting go. And I too, when I do my channeling, whether it's direct or with the board, I don't remember. I don't remember everything. I just feel good. You don't remember it. So what are you doing?
So it's the most bizarre. It is the most bizarre experience, because Theresa talking like that about an evening that I have really no idea I'm leaving people with that, because I trust totally and doubt. I'm human. I doubt, and I write about this in the book.
Oh, she does.
That I'm constantly questioning myself, and I don't ever want to lose that. And I would never think that I know it all. And that I'm infallible. In fact, I'd much rather be able to stand up there and say, right now, I'm not getting it. It's not here. There isn't
She's done that as
or
well.
a connection.
Great. She's done that actually. She's gone up and people have paid their ticket and they're there. Nothing coming through. Go home. You can have your money back.
I have.
That's an honest medium.
That is an honest medium. Yes.
It's about integrity, energy. It's saying something happens here with consciousness that we don't understand. Yeah. This is my limited understanding of it. This is my belief right now. And so when I speak at the moment, I speak from what's true to me now. In a couple of years, when we've got more information going, I would be happy to change that viewpoint if it needs changing.
Yep.
So the way that I speak about it at the moment is I describe mediumship for me a bit like a game of charades. It's not a game, although it's joyful. But I'm predominantly clairsentient, which means clear sensing. So as loved ones come around me, I feel them.
It's so unfair. She's called Claire, clairvoyant, clairsentient.
I know. You just put your name on that.
Teresa Voyant.
It's the perfect name for you, Claire.
Well, it was obviously divine. It means light, doesn't it? So
it does.
My mum must have been psychic.
It's an amazing name, isn't it? It's not fair.
So then I give the information. The majority of the reading comes across in feelings, and I explain my feelings. Interspersed with that, then I may see in my mind's eye. So lots of people think that mediums are seeing dead people walking around like in Sixth Sense. No, we don't understand what consciousness is. It doesn't quite happen like that. Some people do, but for me, I see within my mind's eye images and pictures that I wouldn't necessarily know, faces that I don't recognize sometimes. And then if I'm really lucky, I get the clairaudience, clear hearing, which isn't clear. It's a bit like having a song playing out in your head, that internal hearing. It's not like I'm hearing somebody whisper in my ear. I know other mediums say they get that. I'm very jealous. I don't. So this game charade starts. I'm feeling this. I've just seen that. I've just heard that in my mind. How do I articulate this now and make sense of it for my client? And so obviously there will be times when I connect the dots wrong, and I own that. Other times when the flow is there, when I'm totally out of myself and just completely trusting and the doubt's gone and I've got a rapport with my client, the information that can come forward is mind-blowing for me. And they're the ones that I write about in the book, because I don't remember my readings. And I've read for thousands of people. I'm so privileged that people have trusted in me in that way.
Booked a year in advance.
Oh, I know she has a very busy practice from what I understand.
I just think people, Karen, people are ready for this message. And they're ready for the bigger message too. I think this book is breaking through because it's not just about hearing from mum or dad, or it's about a deeper spiritual knowledge. We are evolving. Our intelligence and awareness is evolving, and the spirit world are responding. And I think Answers from Heaven is the start of that, breaking that information, bringing it through, being brave enough to say,
I hear from the spirit. When I first put her on my page, presenting a medium was scary. We got so much.
Oh, we were trolled big time.
But we dealt with it. It was really good, actually, because it really gave us because we just dealt with it, didn't we? We came back with science. We came back with love, and didn't we?
And you can't change everyone's opinion, and nor would you.
No, you can't.
And it's becoming comfortable with that. It's understanding that even the most intelligent people, intelligent minds, they don't know either.
You know what? I got to say that point about this consciousness. Science does not know what it is. They don't even understand what the dream state is. They understand what our eyes do, how we breathe and how many dreams we have a night, but they don't understand what that's about. I mean, we don't know. And so I agree with what you said. I think you said it brilliantly,
I love that.
Claire.
People say when you're dead, Therese. And I say, how do you know?
How do you know? And they're going to say, they'll say, how do you know that you continue on? And here's some examples, right? So what you guys are doing here with this book and with the work you're doing and the ability to come out and talk about it as you're doing on your social media and also as your book tour you're doing right now, is allowing people to have the ability just to start talking about it more, accepting that it's more real to people, things are happening, and not feel ashamed about it. I remember when I was little, it would speak to my imaginary playmate. It wasn't imaginary, it was spirits. Throughout my life too, I was told, you can't do that. That's crazy. You'll go to school. People will think you're stupid. You're crazy. Don't do that. So now it's totally shifted, and we can talk about these things. And yes, people are always going to be mean and haters and all that, or they're afraid. It's all about fear. But if we can just come back with love and explain what's happening to us, they too might start opening up and feeling some of that love. You guys, in this show, I'd love to share with my audience ways in which to either do what it is you do, Claire, or how to pursue this type of research and writing you're doing, Theresa. So what could you share with the audience and to inspire them to be able to do some of this stuff that you two are doing so brilliantly within the world?
Well, I just look at it from the point of view of somebody who just writes about it and explores it. I never, ever lose my curiosity. I think that's the most wonderful thing we have. Just be curious, just learn as much as you can. Never sort of shut your mind down. Try something new. That's always been in my life. Always learning. Never ever say you know everything. Never say that. I never want to be considered an expert, as it were, because I just know that there's always more. One thing I know is I will never know everything, and I love that. I think that's what it is. And if you want to write about the paranormal, it's this most amazing thing to write about because it's infinite.
Oh, it is. Well said. Well said.
I love it. And Claire, what about you?
So for me, it would be to remind everybody that you are spirit, you are eternal, and that you need to remember that so you can tap into that part of yourself. So what I try and teach people is that, we are all that. It's not difficult. It is difficult, but it's simple. When you walk into a room full of people, Or if you walk into a room where you've seen two people having an argument and then you walk in afterwards and they're trying to be nice and you hit that energy, you're already doing it. How to build on that is to recognise that there is that sense within you that can read your environment, and then learn techniques to switch your mind off and begin to feel and know. So I think meditation is the key to unlocking the door. Our brain and our society is so busy, and technology, we're just totally taken up in thoughts and mental activity. I think it would do our health good, if nothing else, to learn to go into the stillness, into the quiet, find some peace. Ask your loved ones to come forward if you want to connect with them. And then just write down or make notes of anything that you sense, feel, or see. Don't judge it. Just trust the first thing that comes into your head, and you are starting that dialogue. And you'll be amazed at the wisdom and the insights you receive, because you are spirit. You are that intelligence.
You already exist in that afterlife, in that spirit realm. That's brilliant. I think we forget that. We think we get so associate ourselves with our ego, with this physical structure, this spacesuit, if you want to call it, this bag of bones, right? We think that's all we are. We forget that we have that context. So you're just saying you're opening up to it. You're just going, open a little funnel a little wider.
I always say to people who are struggling with that concept, when you go to heaven, which you will go? You as a baby, you as a 10-year-old, you as a 20-year-old, you now. And that's trying to make them understand that, that you has died, but you go on. Yeah. And the death is exactly the same. It's just another phase.
It's another phase of living. It's another type of life.
How will you go to heaven? You will go as you, the essence, not as you are now. It'll be all every day reincarnate new. That's what I try to, and people love that when I say to them, well, what year will go to heaven? Will we be 18 in heaven? Be 12? And then they start to think, yeah, there's a part of me that I was me then, but the me has gone on and evolved. That's the eternal part of me. Which you will go to heaven.
And I mean, obviously in the book I write about spiritualist churches and being able to go and sit in a circle and meet people like-minded who you can learn from. But I don't believe it's just exclusive to that. I love working with Theresa because she's accessed heaven, as she calls it. I call it the spirit world, in her own way. You can be at home and be in tune with the divine. You don't have to be somewhere else. It starts at home with you in here.
This is home, you guys. Home is right here in the heart, isn't it? This is home.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That rules. The heart rules, and the heart is eternal. And anyone who's lost a loved one will know that.
You know it. Well, listen, ladies, it's come to the point of the show where I'd like you to share where people can find you. Tell us a little bit more about your book tour. Your book's coming out November 2nd, and give us some information. Guys, all the links will be below, so you can look it up down here as well. Thank you guys both for being on the show, and share where people can find you.
Well, I can be found www.theresacheung.com, and my author page on Facebook is quite a thriving community.
Oh, yeah.
And in the book, we also have some free gifts for people, don't we, that we've done. Claire's done some meditation. I'm working with the Institute of Noetic Sciences, and they've done some free gifts that readers can download about their research there. They researched the afterlife to have access to their library, which is amazing. So that's me, Claire.
And you can find me at www.clairebroad.com and at my Facebook page, Medium Claire Broad. And I've just got a beautiful community on there of people that feel safe to share their experiences, to come together and share about what grief is, or just to come and have a really good laugh. Theresa and I are about bringing the joy and laughter into spiritualism.
Well, when we do Facebook Live, we just get the giggles.
Yeah, you guys are fun.
It's actually the most serious we've been.
You pulled something very good out of us.
You have. He'll say that they just make me laugh. He's doing some outtakes, isn't it?
It is. Theresa and I really feel that if the afterlife is joyful and the laughter, and it doesn't have to, we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously, hence the flowers, and should say that this is the cover of the book.
Oh, yes.
We're not just sitting in a garden. A fake one.
Well, ladies, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today, and I want people in the United States to understand you. Right now, you can get their book when it comes released. You can get it on Kindle, And in the UK, you can get it paperback and Kindle. And you've already started your book tour. You're doing a pre-release tour right now, as I understand.
We're recreating a seance in London, Leicester Square, Watkins Books on Halloween.
Oh, Halloween. Okay, great. So
Oh,
if you're in the
yeah.
area, come on down, right?
And the national
Absolutely.
newspapers have picked up on Claire's story, so she'll be in the Mail, the Sun, the Mirror, and you're
Sunday
going on radios, aren't you, and everything. It's really exciting.
Such is the
She's
interest.
very, very special, and I'm very honoured to.
No,
to
I
have her.
think together we have hit on something magical.
You have.
I really do. I think our combined voices and yours, Karen, and people like you
Thank
with that
you.
integrity and authenticity, we're coming together and we're moving and shaking something. It's exciting.
Yeah, and any criticism, we're at the stage now when we bring it on. We can take it, because when Claire first went on the page, that hit you hard, didn't it? When people, the atheists.
At first it does hit you hard at first, and then you get used to it, and you say, you know what? Well, I welcome the opinions, right? I welcome the opinions, and that's okay. We don't have to be mean and ugly about it, but we can all have opinions, and that's what I appreciate.
Most
you
of
ladies.
them come for a fight, and then when they see that's not happening, and we're just saying, thank you for your opinion. I really respect and understand that, but have you thought of it this way? And then it happened. But I remember I was a bit worried about Claire, because it hit you hard, didn't it? First?
Well, she's so
it's
sensitive. She's sensitive.
Sensitive, and I've been in the shadows just quietly getting on with it. This doesn't come natural, but I'm learning. So thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate it. It's just a joy.
Thank you very, very much, Karen.
Well, you're very welcome, and thank you very much for joining me. So there you have it, you guys. We have two wonderful women out there in the world, in the UK, but they're going to be in the world here real soon. I guarantee it's going to be another Sunday's Best Time Selling book, doing their work, doing what they enjoy doing what they love, explaining the science behind it, the academia behind it, the research, and then explaining how to do it yourself and get some of the messages. And it's a well-written book. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you all out there start researching and looking at this afterlife, the spirit world yourself, if you aren't already, and be open, as Clara and Theresa were saying. Be real open, be fearless, be loving in your heart, and then the messages start flowing through as we can welcome them. Thank you again for joining us today on this episode. This was Creative Visions TV, and I'm your host, Karen Dahlman. Now get out there and explore the expansive world that's out there waiting for you. Bye-bye. See you soon.